welcome. Oh, this is going in the room as well. So we're going to start, even though I know a lot of people are still going to show up. We've got a kind of tight agenda for the day, so I'm going to just start. And we're just going to start by asking everybody to introduce themselves, and just also a little warning or heads up for those who don't know. This is going out on a live stream, and we're recording it. We had some partners who couldn't come or couldn't attend that we wanted to be able to share it with, and it's just a little too easy in this facility to live stream stuff, so we're just gonna film it and live stream it. We were gonna host it upstairs, but then we're like, let's just do it in this room where this stuff is. So if you're gonna present later, I'd say just pass, and we'll kind of have you introduce at the end. But otherwise, I'd say go ahead and start. And Nancy, you're not exactly presenting later, but if you would just start with introducing yourself and saying a little bit about the Colorado Media Project. Sure. We have ambient mics, so you don't have to get up and use the mic if you don't want to, but Nancy wants to.
Hi, everybody.
Because your voice isn't just as loud as mine. It's okay.
No, I have a very loud voice. I'm a loud talker. I don't need it.
Okay.
So I'm Nancy Watson. I'm director of Colorado Media Project, and so Colorado Media Project's a new kid on the scene. Was founded in 2018 by Gates Family Foundation and University of Denver folks and other community leaders to address issues around sustainability for local news. And then in 2019, beginning of this year, Gates announced a commitment to taking this work forward over the next, at least next 3 years. And we have other funders who've joined in, all very much concerned about the quality of news information that folks are getting at the local level, and watching with alarm as media organizations are having trouble keeping doors open and losing reporters. And so that's who we are. What we do is we're doing a lot of programs right now, various kinds of projects to help on different types of collaboration or sustainability or conversation, community building. So for example, next week, everybody should come to University of Denver for the NEBRA Hack, which is a hackathon around immigration issues being organized with the University of Denver. We've already got more than 150 people registered, but we need more, especially folks with technical skills, and we're still looking for more journalists. We're actually offering, with the help of PEN America, some travel money for if you know folks from out of Denver metro area who would really like to come to a hackathon. They can get in touch with us and apply for that. It's on our website, where you can contact me and I can tell them how to apply. We're doing some work around reimagining what arts and culture coverage could look like, in working with public media here and other partners and arts and cultural organizations. I'm going to be doing some community meetings around that, and in the next few months. We've got a report coming out in a couple of weeks around public policy possibilities, solutions for public funding of local news. So there's going to be a bunch of conversation about all of that. And we're also running a pilot project with a group of newsrooms around exploring working together on joint membership offerings, and seeing if news organizations try coming together and offering, does it lift all boats? So those are just a few of the things we're working on, and we're really excited. We think diversity is super important, and so I'm really curious to hear more about what you guys have been up to.
Thanks. So everybody else, again, you can stay there, probably just stay in your seats. You're welcome to come up and use a mic if you want, but just name and the organization you're with. And again, even if you're presenting later, but the ones who are presenting, you can have you say a few more words later. So let's just start over here, Leslie.
Hi everyone, my name is Leslie Castanuela Barnes. I am the new OMF Director of Development. It's my first full week of work, and I look forward to meeting all of you later and individually, and thank you all for joining us. We're really glad that you're here.
Dave.
Oh, me. I'm DPROC Dave Ashton. I'm the Denver Program Manager at KGNU Community Radio.
And I'm Ann Angelopoulos, HR Director with Public News Service.
Let's go over back here.
My name is Rachel Mullen, and I'm the Marketing and Communications Coordinator for Warren Tech, which is a career technical education high school in Jeffco Public Schools.
Sarah Leonard, I'm Assistant Principal addition to,
Well, we have 31 CTE programs in our schools right now on 2 campuses, including a TV video class and an audio production class, and we're building a 3rd campus that is probably going to have a live entertainment venue and new programs starting up for sound and good signal lighting and all that. So I think we're curious to learn more about what's in our community.
Thanks.
My name is Tyler Williams. I have some positions in a lot of different organizations, so if you're interested, just talk to me and we can talk more about that.
Hi, I'm Kim Clemenson. Hi, Ann. I am the head of human resources and organizational development for Rocky Mountain Public Media.
Hello, I'm Enrique Jimenez. I'm the marketing and engagement specialist over at Kubo Jazz.
I'm Roger Trigo. I work in HR Colorado Public Radio.
I'm Kate Schreiber. I'm the career transition specialist at CWE, the Center for Work Education and Employment.
Hi, Elizabeth Robertson. I'm the manager of employment services at CWE with Kate.
Hi, I'm Kelly Hummel. I'm with Denver Workforce Services in West Care.
Great. And then, sorry, I missed the whole back row.
Hey, I'm Megan Hartline. I manage the Community Technology Center at the Denver Central Library, including the ID Lab at the Central Library.
My name is Hannah Hines, and I am one of the AmeriCorps Vistas at the Open Media Foundation.
Hello, everyone. My name is Fatima Hunter. I'm a project manager here with Open Media for interim operations.
Hi, everybody. My name is Laura Trent. I am the impact manager here at Open Media Foundation.
Great, thanks everybody. So I want to first provide just a little bit of context for people that haven't been involved previously with work of the Open Media Careers Project or the Colorado Media Alliance or even the Colorado Media Project. The focus, for the last few years, we've been trying to convene this sector of media and journalism for a kind of broader focus of purposes, and then with Colorado Media Project also doing their work to figure out what are the needs and ways that the sector can collaborate more. In a way, you know, our focus is we're still trying to figure out the focus of all the different groups, and as we moved towards a focus on kind of workforce diversity, inclusion, and engagement of the community in media, and increasing opportunities for underrepresented communities in media and journalism, we came across this project of the Colorado Department of Labor and Employment called the Next Generation Sector Partnership. So that's a model that we shifted to a while back. And while the focus of like CMP and CMA is statewide, the sector partnership model is aiming to bring local organizations. They usually encourage a smaller geographic focus like the Denver metro area with a specific industry. So Jamison's going to show you guys a quick little 4-minute video that just kind of explains this next generation media sector partnership idea and gives a little bit of context, just 4 minutes long. Jamison, will you pull that up? With audio, ideally.
Jobs. They're moving pretty fast these days. Most of us know what it's like to feel obsolete in the modern job market, or to move away from home to find a good job. At the same time, lots of local employers struggle to find the right talent to make their businesses grow and thrive. It's an unfortunate misalignment, and it's a really big deal. Because if businesses aren't growing and creating quality jobs, the economy suffers. And if people can't access quality jobs, the community suffers. So what's going wrong here? What explains the disconnect between what businesses need and what schools are teaching? Aren't there a bunch of programs already working with businesses to meet their needs? Absolutely. In fact, lots of groups are trying to solve this problem, except they're doing it on their own. Education, workforce development, and economic development organizations are all talking to businesses. They're running focus groups and holding advisory meetings. What happens is that some employers are over-solicited, asked to participate in lots of different meetings and boards, while others are ignored entirely. Business leaders get burned out, industry involvement is low, and survey samples are skewed. To make matters worse, conversations with business are often organized around narrow topics like, what are your entry-level training needs? The result is that we often miss out on the bigger opportunities and needs that are shaping the industry for tomorrow, which just so happen to be the topics that business leaders are most interested in talking about. So what if we were able to flip things around a little bit? What if instead of the public sector pushing their programs and services on businesses, what if we could mobilize a whole industry to team up and engage with public partners to pull what they need from us, building the talent and skills of our local workforce while growing businesses and strengthening the sector? It's called a Next Generation Sector Partnership, and it can transform your region's economy. Next-gen sector partnerships are different than traditional sector partnerships in 3 key ways. 1, industry is at the center. Instead of organizing conversations with businesses around programs or grants, business leaders define and champion their own agenda and stay invested as a result. Industry at the center means that literally only businesses are given a seat at the center table. Public partners sit around the outside of the room in listen-only mode. Does that mean they're passive? Not at all. It means they give the floor to industry to design their own agenda, and they're poised for collective action as a result. It also means that businesses personally champion priorities. This is important. Next-gen partnerships don't advance initiatives unless there are business champions committed to them. 2, they tackle more than just workforce needs. In any growing industry, workforce is likely to be a top priority. But other things matter too, like infrastructure needs, supply chain issues, or access to capital. Next-gen sector partnerships tackle all of the above. Anything business leaders agree is important is a priority of a next-gen partnership. 3, community support. Next-gen sector partnerships are a team effort. Education, workforce, and economic development partners work together to respond to industry needs. It's not about a special initiative or a new program. It's a way of work.
I was watching that little gray bar just shrink in front of the blue one. You guys get the idea. Maybe we'll come back to that when it loads, Jameson. Cool? The Colorado Media Alliance, Denver Open Media Foundation, a big focus of ours is increasing diversity and engagement of local media and communications organizations in Colorado. And the focus of this initiative, which is supported by the Corporation for National Community Service, a program we've had AmeriCorps Vistas working on for the past 7 years or so, is to increase diversity engagement, especially in employment in media and communications. And there are a lot of really awesome resources in the state. You guys are about to hear from a few of them to help increase employment opportunities in other sectors. Media and journalism doesn't really represent much of a big chunk of the labor market in Colorado, or really hardly anywhere. So a lot of the great programs that exist in the state to help employers have a more inclusive, culture, to have more better reach for their job opportunities, to ensure better success and on-job training for diverse candidates from diverse backgrounds. A lot of those programs, they've built sector partnerships to infuse those programs into healthcare, into retail, into construction that can hire thousands and thousands of workers. Media and journalism isn't really a focus of these groups. But we argue, and a lot of our partners and funders argue, that while we don't represent as big of a chunk of the workforce, the societal implications of having a diverse workforce in media and communications and journalism is enormous. And underrepresented communities seeing their voice and their perspective represented in mass media is so important. And so that's what we're here for. The Colorado Media Alliance has really shifted its focus to just focus on helping media organizations have more engagement with their community, on helping job seekers find more opportunities in professional development, whether that's mentorship or training from organizations like some of the partners here, and then also inclusive hiring. So we're going to talk about a specific project when we bring in some of our other partners talking about projects. And so for today's meeting, we're going to introduce we're going to start with understanding why we're meeting. I just introduced a little bit of it, but we're going to talk a little more in depth about what the problem is that we're here to solve together. And then we're going to hear about some of the solutions that already exist, and then we're going to do some breakout work where we're going to just better understand what gaps remain, and even other solutions you guys are aware of that we might have not come across yet, especially focus on this issue of workforce. I think Colorado Media Project has done like a lot of great work to figure other focuses of the sector, other needs, and we'll continue to address that in partnership with them and as other initiatives arise. But today's both a launch meeting and a focus on this issue of this topic of workforce. So let's go into the current state of media journalism inclusion. Good. So there's this diversity in media report. If we've sent out the agenda, you guys might have that. Can you actually pull up that link to the Pew study? It just shows that media and journalism is 10 to 20% less diverse than the general U.S. workforce average. So as they rank different industries, our industry is one of the worst in terms of diversity. If you can't, it's okay. The next thing is radio newsroom staff are 87 to 91% white and 61 to 69% male. That's about 20% less diverse than the average. Newspaper employees are 87, 88% white, 63 to 64% male. Television staff, 77. They're the most diverse of those three media outlets, but still about 10% less diverse than the average workforce across industries. So it's just worth noting, and we haven't gotten a lot of good data. We're still working on data just for the Denver metro area, and CDLE is actually helping us collect some of that. But we will report some more specific data. We did also reach out to the community, and over 95% of the organizations that responded to us said that if they were aware of resources, they want more diverse workforce. It's just they aren't exactly sure how to do it or have like limited resources in their HR departments and other things. So one of the first things we're going to do in this meeting today is tell you about a few resources that are represented here, and then we'll do some breakout groups. So Elizabeth, will you come up and tell them about CWE a little bit?
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
How is diverse defined in the studies?
I think these are probably all a little bit different, but I know that the diversity in media one was just racial. It wasn't income based. Although the Pew study also had some income data, but those numbers of 10 to 20% less
But it was racial.
was just racial.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I need to look at the other studies. The other three are actually all part of the same larger study. And the agenda, which if we haven't shared with you, we will, has actual links to all of these studies. I don't know if you're able to pull any of those up. No? Are those links? So the full data about those studies is in there, including any reference to income diversity or other demographics other than just race. But yeah, I know that the Pew one was focused on race. So, Siwi, will you come and chat? Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you. Am I good to not use the microphone? Is that
Sure.
okay?
Is that okay, Jameson?
I don't know where James is. Okay, thanks. So yes, Elizabeth Robertson, I'm with CWE, the Center for Work Education and Employment. And has anyone in here heard of CWE? Couple partners? Okay, excellent. Well, perfect, that's why we're here, is to talk more about just the different initiatives that we have going, and more just generally about CWE and the ways that we engage with employers in the local community. And my colleague Kate's here as well. Oh, and thank you, we're passing out a couple handouts. This is a good glimpse into who we are, who we serve, and then how you can send referrals. I'm going to give you a quick glimpse into the CWE program, talk more about who we serve and what that looks like, and then I'll give you a dive in a little more broadly to the diversity topic, thinking about how we engage with employers and what that exposure can look like when employers work with an organization like CWE. So in terms of who we are a nonprofit career readiness program. We're about 2 minutes. I think it took us 2 minutes to drive over today. We're 10th and Osage. We've been around for 37 years, so a very established program working with low-income parents to get back into the workforce, so to become self-supporting. some of our population, it's their first entry into the workforce, and for some of them, it's getting back in based on what circumstances they might have be up against. Our focus is really that transformational skills. Participants are referred to us and they go through soft skill development, digital literacy training, and career readiness programming, which is very focused on, those are the tools in your toolkit. I always think of when you're ready to get out and find employment. It's very comprehensive and it's very holistic. Participants are with us for 6 to 12 weeks just to get through our core training program. It's a great entry to get back into the workforce, create those healthy habits again, just be back and ready with those patterns. And it's very holistic. So while they're going through skills-based training that's very broad, relevant to any industry, they're also working with case managers. Our goal is stability. So as you're working through this training program with the more skills focus, we want to identify what are the barriers to you getting back into employment. How can we address those too? The idea is that by the time you're through our program, you're ready to go back into employment or to an education pathway. So that means that we work with a variety of partners, right? Because there's no one industry we're preparing for. So it's actually very normal for us to have a partnership with an industry and have just a few participants coming through the program that are stating their interest. And what I'll talk a lot about is that limited exposure, because that's where I think there's a lot of opportunity when it comes to diversifying the workforce. So CWE, again, I mentioned we have some different referral partners and sources. We also take community members. So for those of you thinking about your own networks and who you work with, that is something to keep on the radar. We have some different guidelines and eligibility requirements, but that's one of your takeaway players. Just thinking about, again, who we serve and who would benefit from our programming. A big piece is that willingness and ability to commit to the training. So when employers are working with us, they're also getting someone that has gone through a lot of skills training, and again, that preparedness, for their career. In terms of who we serve, I want to highlight we serve 90% female and 80% single parents with a very wide range of career interests. As we collectively really think about the diversity in the industry, and I think the question that was already just brought up about what do we mean by diversity, it's really thinking about all those layers and how are we broadening what that looks like, how are we getting diverse candidates, and then how are we meeting their needs in the workplace. So for us, when we think about single parents as its own population, quality employment for a single parent is stable hours and working conditions that allow them to also meet those needs for their family outside of employment. So what does that look like for employers? Another big piece for us is skills-based practices. So thinking about of some of the few participants we've worked with in the past year with this industry, really understanding what are their opportunities when it comes to more informal experience or not having those formal degrees or certifications to get into the industry. Very willing to be trained, skills-based hiring. And I'm not sure who in the room is familiar with Skillful. Excellent, I know some of our partners are. Skillful is an amazing resource. As you think about the focus of skills-based hiring, they actually will offer employer trainings, all really in line with how do you even make your job descriptions. I was, as a hiring manager myself, was just doing that to one of our job descriptions. What is it in there that's preventing someone from applying that, again, might reach a more diverse candidate pool because I'm putting in an education requirement that actually has no relevance on the skills to do the job that I'm hiring for. So that's a really great partnership that CWE works very in depth with, and I'm happy to provide that introduction. And I'll have my cards for you as well. So with this, we're working with a lot of different partners, a lot of different industries, and there's a lot of different ways to engage. So I think that's a big piece I want to stress, again, as we collectively consider what diversity looks like, is not every partner or employer is going to be, they're not going to hire a CWE participant, but what are the different opportunities that can benefit both parties by engaging with an organization like CWE? And you might hire, your next hire could be a CWE participant that just didn't know you existed, and you didn't know that this was a candidate pool you could be tapping into. So thinking about our focus is really employer engagement, getting employers in front of career seekers. There's such a mutual benefit there to understand what are the barriers, why are individuals not applying to the positions that I have open, and what can that look like. There's some good stats on one of the flyers that I handed out too, what the common barriers are for the populations we work with. But we do a lot to, again, bring employers to the forefront. So we do informational interviews, job shadows. a huge initiative Kate works on is a regular networking event. So how can we get those conversations going and that exposure? We also do tours, so having an opportunity for our career seekers to go out and tour one of our employer sites is great, because a lot of times they come out of that saying, I didn't know these were opportunities that existed, because I'm not looking for them. I didn't even know how to start the search. So for us, we have this broad kind of, we work with all industries, and we really look to our employer partners to do the deep dive. When can we then put a participant directly in touch with someone in industry to get that feedback? And again, very mutually beneficial. The other piece, we bring in partners a lot for workshops, for panels, getting that exposure to our participant population, and then again, providing that exposure to them for other industries. We, about 2 weeks ago, we had Comcast on site. They're doing a PSA for CWE, so I saw it, it looks great, be on the lookout on your Comcast channels. And that provided, there was a great example of a really informal opportunity for some of our career seekers that they were doing this informational interviewing with people on site because they didn't know that that was an opportunity, and there's this assumption that they're not qualified from themselves. So where can that exposure live? I think that's a really big piece of how we want to engage with employer partners. And again, think about that as you hear about from other community resources, from other workforce partners. What can that look like, and how can we be a resource for you in this process? So that's my spiel and see, and we're out.
Thank you. And next is Kelly.
Yes.
You want to use this?
I think so. I think I need the microphone. Hello, everybody. I was really glad to hear Elizabeth talk about Skillful, because that really is a great resource to talk about competency-based hiring and how job descriptions can be written to hire more for competency and the ability to learn the job. It's fantastic. So my name is Kelly Hummel. I'm with Denver Workforce Services, Res Care. So Tony has asked in the past, like, what's the differentiation between Res Care and Denver Workforce Services? So Denver Workforce Services is the city and county of Denver's official workforce services, where we operate like the WIOA programs out at the Workforce Center. So we run the Workforce Center at the Human Services building in the city. We have one location at 12th and Federal and out in the Montbello neighborhood. So we run part of what's called the WIOA grant. This is the Workforce Innovations and Opportunity Act. It's a focus for dislocated workers. And we have a priority of service model this year. So a lot of the people that we are serving are recently incarcerated, veterans, people at a specific poverty level. But as far as like experience and their background, this can run the gamut of someone that has not finished high school to somebody with a PhD. So there's all levels of education that's tied in with that. At the workforce centers, if you were to come into the workforce center, you'd see kind of a front of the house type setup with computer labs, 3 different classrooms. We have employers there on a regular basis doing table recruiting. As well, we offer some customized recruiting opportunities with employers, and that can be anything from like pre-screening applications to accessing a wide candidate pool. As well, there are classes and workshops for our customers. So job seekers can come into the Workforce Center and do job search activities right there out at 12th and Federal and then in the Montbello neighborhood. And then we have what we call kind of the back of the house, and those are the people running the WIOA program and also job seeker consultants for people on TANF, temporary assistance for needy families. And so with the WIOA program, because the focus is for dislocated workers, so these are people that have maybe been unemployed 27 months in the past 5 years, or like I said, at certain income levels, poverty levels, migrant workers, but also people that just are, like I said, out of the workforce because they need some sort of skills development, measurable skills gain. So one of the programs, we talked about programs and resources that I help run is something called On the Job Training Program. And this is a program for job seekers to get into a position that will help them develop their skills. It's a wage subsidy program for employers. So there's federal funding coming down through the city through Res Care, where we help a 50-50 reimbursement split for employers to bring on a job seeker that maybe needs some technology, like gaining technology skills. And this can run a duration of anywhere from 6 weeks to 3 months. So it's, like I said, it's just one of the programs that we offer. So I do the employer liaison piece of it, and it is not a bureaucratic process. I will say it's 4 forms filling out, and so we're basically looking for employers to come in that maybe have targeted some job seekers themselves, and this could be where the diversity where there is an opportunity for your diversity hires too, where there's anyone that falls into those categories. So if it's something where you have a candidate that you're looking at for a job opportunity, you can refer them out to the Workforce Center, and we can look at their eligibility to enroll in the WIOA grant. So there's a lot. There's a lot of information, a lot of different nuances. It's like I said, it's a government-run program out at the Workforce Center, but the on-the-job training program in particular for media, I think it does kind of pose an exciting opportunity for you to look into some diversity hire, getting some wage subsidies to help, especially for some smaller local businesses, to bring on just a different sort of talent pool.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thanks. And a quick testimony for Kelly's program. One of the positions Open Media Foundation recently hired for, we had over 250 applicants for the position. We interviewed 14 people in our first round interview round, and of those 14 people, 3 of them came from Kelly, and I think you guys only sent us like 4 or 5 total people. So like we picked like 10 or 11 people out of 250 applicants, and then 3 people out of like 4 or 5 applicants that they sent us. They sent us incredibly high quality applicants, and it's an awesome program, both to expose you to some potentially more diverse candidates, but also just the quality of the candidates that came through. They had gotten Scrum training through support from OJT. They had gotten project management certification, other resources, and it's just it was a really valuable first introduction for us to their program, and I can't recommend using their program more. If we had only hired from that pool, we would have saved a lot of time.
Thank you for that, Tony. And I do have flyers with my business card that I'll hand out for you to see some numbers and more details and next steps if you want to participate.
Awesome, thank you. And so a third program I'm going to introduce that is a new program that we're offering here from the Open Media Foundation, leveraging the AmeriCorps Vistas that we have. I know CWE has AmeriCorps Vistas often too. And we've sent this out to a few people, but this is a free hiring service. So our AmeriCorps Vistas, both here full-time, Hannah and Jeff, please raise your hands. They'll be with us for the next year serving as AmeriCorps Vistas. They will review your job application and weigh it against some criteria, not unlike what Elizabeth was referencing, to help you, if you want feedback on it, to help make sure it is inclusive and has the best chance of attracting a more diverse applicant pool. They will then once your job description is done, they will take it and they will post it to over 25 different job boards. Our initial pool, we were testing over 100 different job boards, free and paid job boards. And we got some great data, which Jeff can pull up, where we were just evaluating both the gender, ethnic diversity, also disability status, income status of all the applicants coming in through these different boards. And we were able to identify boards that only sent 90% white males or something like that, and be able to steer the service towards outlets that tended to generate more diverse candidates. And so we've narrowed it down to now about 15 to 20 job boards that we'll post to. A couple of them are paid, and so we'd pass on those fees to you, but everything else we do is free. And we are able, through our program now, to post to a few job boards that would usually cost money, but they're allowing us, because of the nonprofit status and an agreement that we've made, to post for free. And so that, nice wipe, Jameson. Oh, that's a PMP. Good work. We can't get past our old public access TV days with the high tech. Sorry. So these are just focusing on gender and racial diversity. But the point is that as part of this service, and this service is also posted up on cma.media/careers, the Colorado Media Alliance website. We will take your job description, help you hone it if you want that, or just post it exactly as it is if you want. Take that kind of tedious time to post it to all of these different services for you. If you just want free ones, there'll be absolutely no charge for that. We'll take all of the candidates, and we've developed a program through an organization called Top Grading. That's just an organization that many Fortune 500 organizations use for their hiring practice, where we develop a survey with some really best practice questions to ask, as well as some demographic questions of people. So the candidates that pass kind of your first criteria, they get this survey, or if you want, we can send the survey out to all candidates. They fill out that survey, and that has, again, this demographic data. And then we use that to help sort them and also to help prepare some interview questions. Should you choose to follow the top grading model for your interview process, you can incorporate a couple of these questions in, which we found to be very useful and have some really great data on why these result in a better interview process, both for the candidate and for the employer. And we will help you filter that pool of applicants down to the people that you want to interview. If you want to, we also offer we will schedule the actual interviews for you. Then we are out. Then it's totally up to you. You do all the interviewing. Again, we'll take the average for our last 2 positions that we hired through this service. We had over 200 applicants for both positions. Narrowed them down to anywhere from 5 to 14 first-round interviews. We'd hand those over to you guys. You decide how many interviews you want to do. And then once you actually hire someone, we get some feedback from you on who you hired and what were the quality of those finalists, so that we can continue to hone the quality of the sources that our candidates come through. So Jeff and Hannah will have benefited from a full year of work from Jocelyn Durrell, our most recent AmeriCorps Vista, who helped build a lot of this practice, and some of our internal staff. And so again, that's a free service that is available to any media organization that wants to hire. We will do that work for you, and with these other services, hopefully help you get many more applicants for your jobs, a much broader reach to more diverse sources for any job that you want to post for. And again, we do that totally for free unless you want to post to job boards that charge money. We also are developing a shared job board, so also on that same page at the CMA website. Are you able to pull that up? Jameson, if you can take the scan converter when that's ready. So at cma.media, we have a page that just explains that hiring service that I just described, and then also has a job board. So there's a job from Public News Service, a job from Colorado Media School. I think we recently had jobs from Rocky Mountain PBS, but those may have been filled. It's just a simple tool, and also if you want to, it's just an iframe that you can paste on your own site, so you don't have to steer people to here. We aren't trying to be the central location as a job board, just provide that as a resource for those who want it. So now comes kind of your part. We want to understand the other needs and gaps and resources, especially in this area of kind of workforce and workforce diversity. We want to understand what programs you're currently facilitating that are resources that the rest of the group should know about, and what are some of the gaps in the way of you having, the workforce and engagement that you want to have. So I'm going to hand it over to Jeff and Hannah, and they're going to facilitate a little breakout session. Will you guys use this mic? I think Jameson, it's better for the stream, right?
All right, folks. If I slip back into my teacher mode, I'm sorry. I just came off 9 years being in a classroom. So if I go to and I start saying eyes up front, it's not geared towards you. It's just habit. So So if you want to go to the slide and help me out.
I can do it as well.
Sure.
Whatever.
Okay. All right, so we're going to break out into groups. I believe we have enough to do at least 3 different groups. So in order to start out, we're going to go across, like you kind of cross everybody and say like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then find your groups. Okay, so we start.
1,
2,
3, 4, 5.
No, 1. Start. It's 1, 2, 3.
I'm sorry.
So
1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2,
3, 4.
back row.
1,
2,
3.
4.
Okay, so if you get quickly, go ahead and meet with your groups. If there's one group that has way more than you should, you can kind of split them up. You can leave your everything at your
You want to tell them
chairs.
where 1, 2, 3, and 4 should be?
Yeah, sure. Ones, raise your hands. Ones could be over here. 2s, come on over here. Right. 3s could be right in the middle. 4s could be in the back or over there. Okay, awesome.
Hello. 1, 3, 2.
Okay, so take a minute or two to introduce yourselves. Okay, so looks like everyone found a group. That's awesome. So when I say 1, 2, 3, eyes on me, please look forward. So 1, 2, 3, eyes on me. Oh, almost everyone. Yes, I did. And high school and elementary school. All right, so the first activity we're going to break up and then we're going to do a peer-to-peer and then a group discussion. So the first one, on your index cards, if you go ahead and press click. All right, so you don't have to put this on top of here because you're already signed in. So we're just go on to the first time you see this question, you can answer it for yourself for 2 minutes. After 2 minutes, we're going to go into and talk with your group for 3 minutes to come up with a summary answer. All right. Once your group has a summary answer, please hold up your sticky notes so we know how to grab them from you and select one person that's willing to talk about your answer. Okay? So, if I need your attention, I'm going to probably do this part instead. So I'm going to hold up number 2. If you see my hand, please hold it up, and that way everyone will start visually saying, oh, it's time to kind of refocus. Okay? So, first question, go ahead. All right, so first question is, why is it important for the industry to increase inclusiveness and diversity in our workforce? So take 2 minutes to think about it. It's also on the screen over here if you need to see the question. And we'll be walking around to help you out as well. The index cards are for you, the Post-its are for the group. Thank you, great question. Okay, about 30 seconds. If your group is already done, go ahead and start talking as a group and write one summary answer on that Post-it, please. So talk to us.
Yeah, so I was here. Okay, what are your thoughts? We'll go around the block.
So my, answer to this question is, representation of less visible communities leads to a stronger civic path. That includes particularly media because there's so much amplification of those voices to me. Thanks.
I did a version of diverse cultural perspective, which is relevant to all of us. I like the way you said it better.
I'm just someone think from more of a business standpoint to increase
There you go. A lot of great conversations. Keep it up.
skills and experience and perspective, which will help secure the future.
I wrote about social justice and the story gets told, and it makes the stories feel better.
And I said that, we have our increased leaders who we're serving in schools, that if we're not basically bringing users and keep themselves in the serving and it also brings up new ideas and new serving
Yeah. Okay, so if we start with Enrique's excellent, well, thought out, and had the workplace, as well as and satisfying the needs.
Yeah.
I feel that the increasing diversity of the U.S. population is being distorted.
Overall quality.
Reinforcing inequality.
Oh, you said first week.
This is
If you're done, please hold up on number 2. If you're done, please hold on number 2. So we go. One more favorite branch. Okay. Almost there.
Yeah, that's right.
You guys ready? Are you ready?
I think we're ready. Is everyone ready?
Yeah, everyone's ready.
Okay, so
Awesome.
our answer,
Well, hang on. Sorry. All right, so.
I think this is.
See how quick these goes around the room.
Not too bad.
Okay, so we're going to start over here. Pick one person to tell your answer, and then we'll take the sticky tab. And on the way out, feel free to look at the answers. Idea boards are going to be over here. So.
Okay. Enrique, he said it beautifully. He said, representation of less visible communities leads to a stronger civic fabric, which also dovetails into the need to engage not only the workforce from an employee standpoint, but our users, which is our community, that are engaged, as well as basically, we as a diverse community provide better, the way that I think about it is like customer service to our communities so that they will engage and pay attention to what's going on, and we are likewise reflecting back on to them with their experiences. And there was a lot of good discussion. So that's not one sentence.
Okay. All right. So we'll take the sticky
We'll
note.
start with that.
We'll take the index card. We'll take the sticky note.
It's awful. That's sticking out.
It's fine.
Okay.
So if you hear something that you like, want to add for notation, please use it on your index card or your notebooks if you brought them. Get back here.
To ensure the conversation reflects the community.
Clean and simple. Good. Okay.
We have vital for ensuring the voices of all are heard and included. Also raises awareness of career opportunities.
Okay. And over here.
Okay, we said the increasing diversity of the U.S. population has been distorted through the white gaze. This has made media culpable in reinforcing inequality. We should either fall on our swords or open the doors.
Okay.
All that fit.
Let me get the last part. That's by the G-A-Z-E, by the way.
Start of the book, the prologue.
So we're
Oh,
gonna,
jeez.
alright, so you want to do number 2? Okay. Question number 2. Same process.
So question number 2 is, what support or resources would be most valuable in supporting increased engagement and inclusivity at your organization?
So 2 minutes, answer yourself on index cards, and then talk about it as a group and come up with a summary. If you need more index cards, let me know. We got more.
You guys are quiet because you're thinking. I like it.
Do you want to share? Are you guys still?
Got about a minute left on the individual.
All right.
I think for us,
I was very
to do radio work outside of volunteering as a member is I think it's a good way to reach out to people that have right now it's volunteer base or folks that are members with facilities, but it's great to have more of a membership program. That's also it's not
What's your like dial? Yeah.
Oh, color or KU or
Oh, okay, okay. Okay, got it. Okay, good. Okay, I wonder if that was. What are your thoughts? Oh gosh, well, I don't really know. That's not fair. I'm not even sure. I don't know. It's really hard because, you know, people see themselves or they see themselves. You know,
I'm going to say that the dangers for communities of color is co-optation.
I said, you know, I think that Jacko
So
in
establishing
particular,
culture,
one of the things that I work for, I think it's things like blind resumes and like, I don't know,
For resources like Readiness, always searching
we should get towards the very end of organization.
You may say positive.
Employee angle, lowering or removing requirements that are out
Yeah.
So, for instance, we recently required a 4-year degree.
You're done. Please hold up for number 2. Almost.
Oh, what's on that coaster? Oh, wait, now. Yeah. Our organization is so small,
man hours, boots on the ground outreach.
Yeah, I just don't know that we want to lower the requirements for the barriers to entry, so that we can.
There's lots of thinking in here.
Your establishment or somewhere, and also like to expanding really comprehensive organizations, but also in mentorship programs, augment volunteers and mentors. Did I say that? Did I capture everyone? Okay.
So that's an announcement.
Commercial free independent community radio, KUVO 89.3 FM HD3. Denver,
So we have
Joey wrote his baby Latina. What's that number?
It's the.
This is a push from departments to managers. Like a lot of companies that would
Alright, so 1, 2, 3, eyes on me. Good work. You should see little kids do that. Alright, so back here, what we got?
Alright, so we said, we kind of did the bullet list this time.
Okay.
So accessibility in terms specifically of location, so making sure that these jobs are in areas where people can access easily, depending on where they're located. Job boards that cross borders and support with hiring processes.
Okay.
And access to industry recognized training and dollar specific, and access to technology needed to be successful in the industry.
Okay.
Anything.
We got permission to do two.
They got two.
We did ask for permission.
Okay.
We have, if you are a media organization that is struggling as far as financially, the biggest need would be resources.
Okay.
And then if you were an established media organization, what we felt we needed was training for inclusive practices internally, so that if you were a diverse person, you would feel safe in working there.
Okay. First.
Okay, so from an actual employer, lowering the barriers of entry, such as requiring on your application to say that you are a four-year college grad, which completely cuts out a lot of the wonderful career development programs that exist. So that was one idea. And then also from the more volunteer membership-based organizations, creating better mentorship access and programs to bring folks in to keep it all going. So that's what we talked about.
Okay, nice job. Let's go over here. What you got?
Change criteria, so
Yeah.
living wage, ability to grow, so hopefully you can have some longevity with employees if you can come from within, and support for different needs, whether it be religious holidays or just other cultural needs that people have for time off or time with their kids or other aspects of their needs. Flexibility.
Flexibility. All right. Nice. All right. So, question number 3. Before we go to number 3, sorry, that's okay. All right. So before we get into number 3, this is kind of like a 2-part question. Did you want to kind of
Yeah, I mean, the real meat of what we're advocating here is just understanding more about the gaps. What is in the way of organizations? What do they want? We'll move into eventually also this idea from Next Generation Sector Partnerships of champion-driven priorities. So it's not just so we can hear this from you, it's just so all of us as part of the sector can hear it from each other and see what kinds of tactics people in the room, you know, are either already championing or want to champion. So before we get into just the gaps, we also wanted to have people say, like, in addition to the kinds of programs you heard from Elizabeth and Kelly and myself, are you guys aware of any other really great resources that the group should know about in this aim of specifically, you know, increasing diversity? So yeah, maybe before we do the third question, which we're going to do in this same format to really identify those gaps. Anybody just want to shout out any kind of programs, resources, support that is available the group should know about? You guys use?
I partner with Discover Goodwill. They run a work experiences program, and they are looking for employers to enroll into the program. It's a similar kind of thing with the OJT, with the goal of with helping skills development, and there's not a requirement necessarily at the end to retain that person.
Great.
It's a similar sort of funding resource.
Well, they'll help pay some of the wage of these staff
Yeah,
members.
they administer to so like the people that goes through Discover Goodwill.
Cool.
And it's a great staff.
Any other important resources people should know about?
I think similar to Kelly, that's specific to Denver County, and AD Works has the similar program for Arapahoe and Douglas County.
Cool. That's AD, like Arapahoe and Douglas?
Yep, AD Works.
Great.
Take people with community service hours. I mean, you know, we at KGNU Boulder, it ended up cultivating board members by doing that. And, you know, it's certainly a way to stay grounded and provide that service if you can get the right people and give them the right assignments.
I just found it's not really a job board, but it's called POC in Audio. So people of color can submit their resumes for whatever it is, production, on air, and then we go through that to invite people for any open positions we have. And there's like so many talented people there, and that's something I just found a few weeks ago.
Is it like a website, POC in Audio?
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks.
Colorado Succeeds has been putting together a handbook for businesses to learn how to be mentors for high school students. And so I think don't ignore looking at young people also to start grooming some diversity from a younger age, because you can train them and give them a resume and some skills and then hire them back later. So
awesome.
I'm currently partnering with Colorado Media School, which has 8-month curriculums that folks can actually graduate with certifications, and they do a lot of internship programs with us, but they also produce newly graduates.
Great. Colorado Media School.
Yeah. There's another one too. So Denver Public Schools also has a Career Connect program, speaking of what you said, to access for young people.
DPS Career Connect, anything else?
You know, if there's Skillful on that list, I know we both mentioned that when we spoke, so Skillful.
Anybody else?
We use Fiverr a little bit. It's like
a gig.
Yeah, gig sort
Short-term
of
gig.
thing. It's like a good thing to find for like real small, quick tasks, and then sometimes it leads to more opportunity.
Fiverr or Fiverr?
Fiverr.
Fiverr.
Like Take Five.
All right, that sounds good. So, what do you guys want to lead us through number 3? So we've kind of done the first half of number 3, which is kind of talking about resources and support that already exist. You know, we want to understand potentially some of those gaps you guys just talked about are addressed by some of the programs you've learned about today. And what gaps remain that we could tackle as a sector. Sorry, I didn't mean to step on either of your guys' toes.
That's fine. So we're going to go over the first half of this question.
Yeah.
All right. So the question is, how do the existing resources and support fulfill those needs? And let's start with that. So 2 minutes by yourself on the index cards, and then go into a group.
And let's just do both of them, sorry. How do they fulfill those needs and what are the gaps remaining? So it's really just one question. What are the gaps?
What I discovered is essential 1% are those activity, digital skills, that's.
So like the gaps in our organizations themselves.
Especially since so much media is practiced digital formats. Do you find that you're discovering and finding resources?
Yeah, that's part of it.
You say Megan? You say Megan? Yeah.
That it's gonna be completely white or something, I don't know.
No. I was just, we were wondering, we could have been very marginal on
When you guys are thinking of the second half of this question, please be constructive and positive.
How those things relate to each other, how information is used, how to mine it. Not necessarily, that's like a whole discipline in itself. What I'm talking about is a general.
Yeah, I got asked the question, I kind of like change my mind. Right, because we've seen them.
And that's, I think, that we've had content and kind of volunteering to do things. They've been on there, but also there's like some.
It's all good experience, yeah.
Basic understanding of how social media works with the
And it's great
website
to have.
and how obviously Google and that works with. It's integrating like a digital language, like digital understanding of.
I love also the hiring process.
And how machine learning are.
Other opportunities for that.
Because media is always been how we invest, how that connects.
Take two. Can I tell you all about a program that I think is very exciting? At the library, we're doing a brand in October. Building because we see that many people
My
who are
organization lacks the ability to staff, and they're just looking at ways as the
don't
local
necessarily
organizations to increase everybody's work.
I just right, training myself, but I didn't bring slides.
For the first time, I posted
Denverlibrary.org/build brand.
externally, I think the centers are just super happy on that clear that the question is resources of the area. But in order to be a part of this madness, you need to have investments for people.
When I think about that,
I've seen that, right?
With us, you can never go back. So
Experience, you could be not in need of credit, you just have your
personal time.
It's all I have to be.
Because those resources for the most part, they're going to bike share.
I would agree that that's
It's all costs money. And just have to turn up the so much parts for
Experience of what has
For those groups who are done, please let me know by holding up two fingers, number two, please.
Yes. Yeah, but once again, we're looking for.
One more minute.
Technical skills.
We should, we've already been doing this in college. That is actually the extracurricular
half our
Yes, and it's not just case skills, it's not just education.
What's your
Yeah, that's all what I think about for me 40 hours to
Yeah, so we ran a job this year for the first time. We saw a really wide age range from about like 22 to
Question
people who their like 60
If you can actually sit down, somebody's we needed to train eyelids.
That's why I'm going
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think that's where we land.
They don't know the lingo, or they feel like it. We're talking to you.
We're just waiting. Looks like everyone is almost there, so let's kind of grab our attention from up to the front, please.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so start over here.
Okay, so as print journalism is going away and really going into more digital platforms as well as every other kind of media that we are familiar with, we discussed a gap, contrary to popular belief that everyone is now digitally savvy and so forth, that there are skill sets that that need to be further developed in order to understand and integrate social media platforms for marketing, as well as those skills that can help to understand data mining in order to fulfill missions in our marketplace. So that's kind of what we talked about. I just want to highlight something that Megan mentioned towards this gap. There's a program at the public library which is now going to be entering its second year, so this would be a resource, which is for 22-year-olds wanting to develop actual skill set, as well as adults ranging all the way up to age 70 who are not only interested, but they need to transition into the workplace in a different way in order to really grasp the whole digital world in which we now live. So that's what we discussed.
Okay, what is that program?
It's called Build a Brand.
Build a brand.
Build a brand at the public library as a good resource for people coming out of skill.
denverlibrary.org/build-a-brand.
Yeah.
I love it. Tuesdays in October.
Okay.
Chicken scratch. You're not gonna read.
We were hoping one of the gaps that could be filled is sourcing for more advanced experience levels from diverse backgrounds.
Okay.
We had that.
Improvise.
And also, we all kind of come from different backgrounds and organizations. So one was additional resources to hire international candidates and support with everything from recruiting to payroll, onboarding, all of that. And then also more opportunities for networking and have it be a less intimidating environment for individuals who are looking to enter that field. And also a very strong need for a shared language because there can be, correct me if I'm saying this correctly, but it can be intimidating if you don't necessarily speak the lingo. So safe and supportive environment for people to come in and kind of break into that shell, but not feel like they are totally on the outskirts of what they should be talking about. And then also opportunities to showcase those skills over formal education. So for individuals who do go into an internship or entry-level position, some type of like mentorship or support with creating like a digital resume. I've heard that that's extremely beneficial in this field, is to have kind of your portfolio online. And then just more access to entry-level positions within the field altogether.
Okay.
And then just to
sounds great.
piggyback, one thing off of what we mentioned is just from a terminology standpoint, and when you're trying to go after a target audience, networking, maybe replacing that with a mixer. It all depends upon who you're going after. And I think we mentioned it earlier before, it's all about the verbiage that we're using. Changing a verbiage you may get what you want.
Good. Great. Up front.
So we agree with gaps of higher experienced people in with diversity. So we talked about creating more options to gain experience, so through internships, fellowships, and also with another gap is that with limited funds, instead of adding new jobs, we're adding to people's workload. So there's really no work-life balance, so it makes it difficult for people that may have a single family or a single mother or something like that. So creating more options to learn and to gain experience and hopefully alleviate that workload. So.
All right. Sounds great. All right. So you can stay where you're at. We're going to turn this into a whole group discussion this time. All right, so what we're after is who and what organizations are committed to filling the gaps where diversity and inclusive hiring can make an impact. So anything, be open, tell us everything that you think you want to add.
Free transportation. Or at least really, really cheap transportation for people who are maybe below poverty level, so they're not so restricted in either getting to schools and programs or jobs to better themselves.
That's great. Like we use RTD just revamped their program, and so all of our staff get RTD passes, and we post resources like that up on the Colorado Media Alliance site. I never even thought to include that among the resources, but yeah, their program is way more accessible now than it used to be.
Yeah, that's important.
Okay. Anything else?
In that same day, there was like some sort of subsidy for bicycle repair. Like if you have like some sort of, if you commute via bicycle, you have like a, what's it called? Like it's just like a reimbursement for like $20 a month for maintenance for tubes or tires or whatever, something along those lines.
Well, you got to have non-paid work experience when your skills are not up to par. Nobody's going to pay you for something you don't know how to do. So KGNU, that's sort of where we stand a lot of times, is allow people to garner some studio experience and digital editing and stuff, and then they can take these skills and then, you know, process what's inside of them. And so hopefully something will shine out that then that will provide an opportunity later, but just getting hands on some of those basic skills, you're not going to be paid for it. So volunteer opportunities.
Okay, Fatima?
The who and what organizations, I think there should be a partnership with like Denver Parks and Rec or Boulder Rec, where there can be some subgroup or location, maybe in the target audience area, where instead of maybe also having them come to us, maybe we go to them with some of the, you know, I don't know if it's graphic design or how to do portfolio things or something from utilizing some of the resources that are at like the Denver Parks and Recreation community room or in their computer lab. And or training at, I don't know, Denver Workforce in their computer lab, some of the basics. Just thinking outside of the box in terms of it expands beyond just the media aspect, because there's other locations that may have resources that we can really tap into to get to the target audience.
Sounds great.
So can I spin on this? We have something like this going with the Workforce Center, and I need to mention it's called the Denver Workforce Integration Network. The Open Media Foundation, you're a member. I believe CB maybe is too, maybe so, and then library. But it's basically an integrated network of community organizations that address a lot of these workplace issues around transportation, childcare, and housing. So there are different community orgs that focus on transportation, those three basic ones that we've identified, but everything from dementia programs to for mental health programs. So there's a whole kind of a network of these organizations that are going, it's going through the Workforce Center, and we meet once a month on Mondays, and I can put you in contact with my colleague Otter, who is the convener for that program too.
Okay.
I think tying on both those comments also, I did something in San Diego where I had a huge population of Vietnamese families, and the kids were learning English, but the parents were not, and they were having a really hard quality of life. So we went to the Vietnamese community centers. And so if you can actually target either a church or, say a veterans hall, but that's probably the wrong word. But I mean, the places where these communities are gathering and bring the training and resources to them where they're comfortable and they're already at, then they're more likely to start venturing once they get a little bit of experience and exposure. Then all of a sudden it's like, you know what, there's another class at the library, I'm gonna go to the library. So it helps them break out of their shell.
A lot of great ideas. Anybody want to expand or add?
You know, late stage capitalism, being as brutal as it is relentless. It's so slanted to favor white people because it's their own relentless sort of things, like eating everybody else up. So, I mean, in terms of like hiring managers having better support systems, having mental health, groups to talk to, like understanding other people in the same situation on a people level, and just trying to get more on a people level somehow, some way. So there's like, groups of supporters for volunteer managers can all come together through a thing called Community Shares that we're a part of. It's a workplace giving, organization that I'm sure other orgs do similar things, but they offer that kind of like professional support for the deciders.
One more thing that Ms. Ann and I kind of discussed, because she's more on a national level, was tapping into like the job boards at like, for an example, historically black colleges and universities. So you can get that's professional skill set. And it also allows those who are going into school for broadcasting, journalism, graphic design, whatever the case may be, that they know that there's an outlet through that organization as they get the years of experience that they need. But I would say, also reaching out to like the different chambers of commerce and really forming those type of partnerships and relationships. I know one of the things that Jeff and I discussed and Hannah and I discussed yesterday was the American Advertising Federation. and really tapping into their job board as well, because they have one, you know, or their American Marketing Association, because people are going to those things that they hear in terms of commonality to try to find work, but we need to tap into them to say, hey, we have this going on, and you need to be geared to us more, per se. So it's just some of the good dialogue that we had from also a national level, you know, from a bottom down and a top up approach.
I think internally, organizations could benefit in their HR departments from implicit bias training, any kind of diversity training that's available. How do organizations, you know, how are they able to get that training and to have it be quality training, so that they're looking beyond what, not only what their job is, but who they are and what their biases are.
Further to that, I think that especially in this market, which is so tech driven with all these, you know, excellent company, the new tech companies that are popping up everywhere, the part of a bias could possibly be in how we can fill the gap. I can imagine that there's an existing skilled population of experienced workers who are being supplanted by the newest, hottest, you know, shiniest student coming out with all sorts of energy and so forth. And we know that all of those super tech trained kids are going for the high paying jobs, or those that are going to promise you know, equity in the company. And so people are getting pushed out who have the skill sets, and how can we capture that skill set, that population that already has a skill set, to help in our market. I think that's, I don't know where that is or how, but a lot of folks get priced out and they wind up being consultants. And how do we create a place for them to all have their resumes properly considered, because they are already skilled and they probably can train the people that push them out. That happens.
So a good resource for that is AARP.
Oh.
Is what?
AARP.
Yeah. One reason.
Yeah.
Anybody else have anything to add, or?
One of our goals for this conversation, you know, Open Media Foundation and even this Career Attention program, we're certainly not trying to fill all these gaps. What we want to do is kind of take these ideas of these gaps, bounce them off the rest of the sector partners that we work with that are on our mailing list, and that we can survey and just like see what are the gaps. And then, you know, again, the model for CBLE's Next Generation Sector Partnerships is that all the priorities have to be champion driven. So somebody in the sector has to say, yes, like we want to address this. And if everybody's saying, you know, we really wish there was a shared internship program that we could all tap into that wasn't just through, you know, Warren Tech or Emily Griffith, but, you know, like had all the possible interns and that sort of thing, but nobody's willing to champion it, then we aren't going to consider it you know, a priority of the sector. And we're certainly planning to step up, and there's some great grant opportunities that can help bolster what we can do to help address some of these needs. But you know, certainly the sector isn't fully represented here, so we're going to do a lot of work to bounce what's come out of this meeting off of other sector partners and groups that we really wanted to be here, like, you know, Channel 4 and Channel 9 and Channel 7, all of whom have attended past CMA meetings but weren't here today.
7 was here. 7's here.
Oh, 7 is here?
She's
Oh,
just,
good.
yeah, stepped out for a
Great.
minute.
So we're gonna probably bolster this list and then come back to even this group and say, are you guys filling already or interested in filling this? Are you aware of this need? Would this information tweak how you're trying to help fill this gap? And that's really the role we're trying to play, is just make sure that, like the video that you guys saw at the beginning, that it's not us just saying, oh great, we've got this new job posting service, and it's the square peg that we're shoving through your round holes. Sorry, that was a horrible analogy.
It's all about networking and partnership and finding our needs and actually seeing how we can fill it according to the jobs that we want to have in the industry.
Yeah, we want to make sure that the any solutions are being developed and driven by the needs of the sector. Thanks for saving me, Jeff. So what's next?
All right, so next, so the follow-up for our breakout session, we're gonna follow up with you within 30 days as far as like what the priorities actions are that we can kind of solve together and start getting people together as far as actually meeting and going forth from that. We're also gonna have the notes and the whatnot agendas from this sent out with you within 2 weeks or so you have what we learned today. You'll have that as well.
Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. And then we're going to follow up in about 60 days as a follow-up meeting and see whether we are actually following through with what we're saying we're going to do. Then at this point, you're free to kind of talk amongst yourself as far as like give props to your neighbor for coming up with this idea, or just talk about events or what you have going on with your individual orgs. So we've got a couple of minutes we can kind of do that.
And before we totally jump into that, I want to make sure people know that we'll be adding as many of these as possible to this resources page on the CMA website. So we've already got a lot of resources that we've compiled here, and we're working to coordinate them into, whether they're focused on workforce or other things. Again, the careers page and the hiring service, where we will hone your job description, post the job board, help you schedule your interviews. That information is here, as well as how you can ask us or give us a job description you want to run through this program, this free service. We'll make sure as many of these resources as possible are posted here, and follow up with this group and everybody that's on the mailing list about those. So I think that's all I wanted to mention. Then we want to remind people about the Migra Hack, which is on the 27th, right?
27th and 28th, yes.
28th. I think on the next
and
first
we're really glad to be in partnership with Open Media Foundation on that event.
Yeah, we're psyched to be involved with it. And next First Friday, we always host something on First Friday. Next First Friday, City Bureau and Documenters.org are going to be joining us and talking about an awesome program that we're hoping to move to Denver, where individuals representing underrepresented and underserved communities can get paid to go to the commissions and boards and government meetings that are covering the issues that affect them, and make sure that the public and that there's more transparency and the public are more engaged in those. So somewhat related to what we're talking about, and we'll send out more info about that reception. Any other group announcements before we just break up into?
We have a request, if you could just restate again and remind everybody what the Migra Hack is so that we can.
The Migra Hack is a 2-day hackathon around immigration issues, so we're welcoming journalists, developers, tech, multimedia, anybody, community members too. We have a bunch of folks attending from groups serving immigrants, but could use more. And we do have some travel money available for people outside the Denver area if they want to get in touch and apply for that. And it should be great. And
So
if you stay through the end, I think there's a reception of snacks by a chef from,
Cool. All right, so before y'all go into kind of discuss freely whatever you want to talk about, we do have plenty of food. If you need to take a break, stand up, use the restroom, come back. Just make sure you come back within like 5 minutes. Bring your food in here, relax, then we'll go into the conclusion.
And I want to do a quick acknowledgement to Jeff and Hannah. They started here just about 12 days ago or something like that. Really picked up the baton from Jocelyn, who was going to be here, and I would love to thank her too for her full year of work. But they both left their kind of career path, essentially giving a year like Peace Corps as AmeriCorps members, and I think they've done a great job for this first event. So I just want to acknowledge them. And thank you guys all for being here. And again, we're going to network and come back for some closing comments But you know, I just appreciate that we have a lot of community members, and the more we've gotten into this, the more we've seen both the industry just being really receptive and supportive of the idea, and more community support, you know, organizations than we realize. So there's really just it seems like more a lack of you know, just coordination of resources than a lack of resources or interest. And so we're really excited that to just be delving into this with all of you. So thank you very much for being here.
So about 5 minutes or so, you need to get food, break, walk around, talk, network.
That's right.
That last song was Take Flight by Downtime on Denver Open Media.